Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to go over my experience with the pothos plant, and I'm actually going to get rid of mine from my tanks, and I will tell you why in a bit, but I will show you how mine grew out, and the comparison between. I have this in my tank here, and then in the tank in my room, which I'll show you in a bit, it actually grew much larger, and I have a theory of why that happened. But for starters, I bought this plant, as you can see from the label, from Home Depot. 6-inch pothos golden hanging basket. It was $10.98. I bought it, and as soon as I bought it, I clipped them from the roots and threw them in my tanks. And basically, from my research, they eat and live off of the nitrates and nitrites that form in your tank, which are bad for your tank. So all in all, it's a good thing, right? Well, yes and no. Here's my thing. First of all, I want to show you my other tank, and because this tank is still fairly not really growing too much, and there's my filtration and my UV filter, which I'm gonna get to in a minute. Let me show you my other tank and how it's grown in my other tank. Huge difference, huh? So in the small tank, as soon as I put a few stems on the surface, the roots were able to ground into the gravel a lot more easily, because obviously it's a smaller tank, so it was easier for the roots to root into the gravel. And since then, it's just been growing and growing and growing. It's actually pretty high now. Let's see here, you can see the roots all grounded into the gravel. And you could even see I put some in my hang-on filter, and you can see all this stuff growing around the filtration now. Now back to what I was saying, I am going to be removing all this. And the reason being, some of you might know already if you have experience with this, but it causes allergies. And that is really bad. Like for me, I didn't notice too big of a difference initially, because I always kind of had allergies from living in Las Vegas and the desert and whatnot. But my wife, who has never had allergies her whole life, all of a sudden has really bad allergies, almost worse than mine. And we try to figure out, because we've been living in the same place, nothing's changed here for years. And this was the only thing that changed, the plants. So of course I googled it, and sure enough, yes, this is on the pothos plant is on the list of a no-no for people who have allergies to have in the house. But so that is the reason I'm getting rid of it. But one thing I wanted to go over, and this is just my theory, if you saw how big the pothos got in my other aquarium and how slowly it's growing over here in this aquarium, I have pretty much same gravel. I use the same water. Obviously, I do water changes on the same day. The only difference between this tank and the other tank is this, my UV filter. Obviously, my UV filter is doing a good job, but I think the UV filter is actually killing off all the nitrates and nitrites, which in turn is making the pothos grow a lot slower than the other tank. But if you can see, the roots they're really thick and strong, so they're growing, just not as fast as they should. Again, I don't have any complaints about that though, because the whole reason I bought the UV filter about 2 years ago was because I got the dreaded cloudy tank syndrome, where I couldn't even see the back of my tank, that's how cloudy it got. And I tried all the regular methods of getting rid of that, like plants, major water changes every other day, the standard procedure that anybody that's been in this hobby knows to take. But when none of that worked, I purchased this UV filter, and sure enough, it didn't even take a day or two to clear out the water, and since then it's been doing wonders. So I prefer that over, you know, having plants grow a little slower. And in turn, I'm gonna get rid of all these plants. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I'm gonna throw them away. I'm gonna get rid of the ones that are inside the tank, and the one that's in my pot I will leave on my balcony. But yeah, that's my take on the pothos plant. Does it do its job? Yes. And you can tell by, if you do water tests, they definitely do help get rid of nitrates and nitrites, and kind of, you know, plants are always the best way to kind of form a natural ecosystem. I mean, you don't see filters out in the wild, you know. It's all plants and gravel and rock and everything else that does its job to keep this system going. So it's definitely good for your aquarium, but if you have anybody in the house that has allergies, it's a big no-no. So I mean, there you have it. That's my opinion on the pothos. It was fun while it lasted. Again, let me go back to my other tank to show you how much it grew in such a short time, and I actually wanted to see this to you know, grow continuously and make a huge vine type deal. But yeah, again, it's really bad for our allergies, so I'm gonna remove them from the tanks. But other than that, that is my take on the pothos. Yeah, if you don't have allergies, go for it. It's very good for your tank. Like my small tank, the parameters have been awesome, even with just a small hang-on filter once I put the plants on there. So yeah, if you have any questions, always feel free to send me a message. If not, there's my take on the pothos. Thank you very much. Until next time.